really helpful on the Small Business Jobs Act in allocating about $30 billion for lending on Main Street, community banks up to $10 billion, and community development financial institutions. The Treasury Department has just returned 25 of that $30 billion unused. It's expired. So clearly the word within the administration still has to get out that it's important to have capital for lending on Main Street. I'm just wondering if you see any vehicles for restoring that $25 billion that the Democratic Congress allocated.
Thank you, Judy. This program, Small Business Loan Fund, came out of town halls I was holding in Oregon. And in those town halls, businessmen and women were saying, our credit lines have been cut, our local bank is healthy, but it has an FDIC leverage problem, it can't do additional lending. We need help. We can't seize business opportunities unless we can borrow. And so my team, led by Andy Green and Will White, brought together a lot of folks to brainstorm, and out of that came this plan to be able to recapitalize healthy Main Street banks so they could do up to $300 billion in additional lending. This had an interesting congressional path because it was in the bill as it came out of committee. Folks on the floor saw that it had to do with helping banks, and they got very nervous. And so they said, well, let's take it out of the bill, and it'll only get put back in if you can pass it with 60 votes. And Mary Landrieu and I agreed to that, and we got 60 votes, bipartisan support, to put it back in. And I must say I'm very disappointed in the administration of this. Many healthy banks that applied have been turned down. A whole group of banks from my state were turned down. And there was a lack of enthusiasm in the Treasury Department for the program. I, quite frankly, don't know what to do because the framework was laid out, and it's the executive branch that has to execute, has to implement. So I in my town halls have been relaying this story and saying, what other strategies can we undertake to try to make sure that the lending is there? We've worked with extending the small business loans, the small business SBA loans, keeping the 90% guarantee. That was very important. So that piece of the play. What else can we do? And so I and my team and folks on Capitol Hill, I think of like mine who see this as a critical part of the economic recovery, are open to additional ideas of how we can push forward. And I'm sorry I don't have a good answer for you at this point. But I'm hoping you'll